This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Welcome, Alphas. Thanks for joining us. Our guest today is Navy veteran, health coach, and nutritionist Kelley Gilberry. Kelley switched to a plant-based lifestyle, which helped him drop 70 pounds and reverse his symptoms of heart disease and diabetes. That's the diabetes.
The sugars.
In 1 year, that's 1 year, 70 pounds, guys. He is now on a mission to help others like you and me. Pretty crazy.
This is going to be a good one, Joe. You need this one before Christmas.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying I know you go for it in the holidays.
I do go for it. It's a hard time to tell people to eat healthy. Like
It's
between
so hard.
late November and the end of the year, it's like,
I think we're all decking the halls pretty hard.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
between Christmas and Thanksgiving, like I try to like hone it in because I know like I'm just going to be like, gotta let it go.
What I try to do to
How can I find that balance?
I think
balance
that's
it
the
out.
wonderful thing about being a recluse like myself is I don't go to holiday parties and therefore I don't have to overindulge.
Well, you're also, I mean, you're always horsing around.
Oh, Joe.
What's
You're
your
always good for a little
what's your
clip.
favorite Dorito, Joe? Do you still eat them?
Oh,
No.
Did you used to like 'em?
Mentally, I had to go through like this whole thing
Oh,
in my.
Stacey, you got him. The sweet and spicy.
You got M&Ms and
I
Doritos
like
and
the burn your face off so hot, spicy, hot nacho cheese.
For me, I had to mentally tell myself that things were gross that are not gross. Like I can't make myself eat at McDonald's anymore, and it has nothing to do with the food because the food's
Before you used
delicious.
to make
Well,
yourself eat there,
it has
or
everything to
you-
do with the food because really the French fries are the only saving grace at McDonald's anymore.
And their Cokes are really good too. But see, their fountain drinks are top notch. Weirdly,
Their Cokes used to be good. Well, maybe it's just here at my lousy
it's been
house.
like 3 years since I've had McDonald's. I mean, I can
I
eat
remember
breakfast if
when
I
I
have
used to
to.
get super excited about the McRib coming out.
if we
That
eat
thing
McDonald's,
scares
I
me.
feel when we
Oh,
go
gosh.
as a family, I feel like
That
I
is the
failed as a
Tower of
parent.
Babel inside of our hearts.
It's such a mystery meat, and I love it. I'm so here for it. Don't you judge me. I don't care. I walked right off the trailer park for that thing straight to McDonald's.
I'll eat
I don't
Whataburger. I'll
care.
eat a Whataburger. McDonald's, I just feel like I've failed.
Yeah, it's my mindset. The thing is the reason why I chose McDonald's and I just told myself it's gross and that I can't eat it is because it's so easy. So if I got rid of that one, then I'm way more likely to go into a deli and get a sandwich or something like that than I
like a
am
deli
because
sandwich.
I just have to get rid of the easiest option. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's what I had to do in my head was to get
So
rid
you're
of the
telling me
thing
you
that I
didn't
can find
rub some
everywhere.
Coors
You know who
Ranch
does a good
Dorito?
deli sandwich? Publix.
Publix deli, I don't want to shame any companies, but anybody else who does subs, I'm sorry, Publix has got you.
Publix is good.
So you're
And they do
telling me
good
you
fried
didn't
chicken,
like
too.
the Coors Ranch Doritos, Joe?
I'm not a big Doritos guy. Never been a big chips guy. I'm more likely to eat chips by
You never
putting
got
it on a
chips with your
sandwich
sub
just
at
to make
Publix?
people angry. You ever squish chips into your sandwich?
No, always separate.
Yeah.
Separate.
Mm.
Agreed.
I
Oh,
only
do you
do it
remember,
when I know
remember
someone's gonna
Breakfast
get-
Club from the 80s when the gal put pixie sticks on her sandwich?
I
Yes.
don't
That's like my
remember that.
favorite movie.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Alphas, hopefully you're eating some really good, maybe positively strange leftovers, pixie sticks included, on your sandwiches over this wonderful holiday season. We're going to be right back with Kelley Gilberry, who's going to come on down hard for making those decisions right after the break.
Yeah, boy.
As a veteran, you've done more than your fair share of providing support. Now it's our turn. Introducing the WellCare and the American Legion partnership and the WellCare Medicare Advantage plans that give you more support, more access, and more benefits in addition to your VA benefits. Visit wellcareforveterans.com today or call 844-917-1165. Ohana Health Plan, a plan offered by WellCare Health Insurance of Arizona, Inc. New Mexico Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan, DSNP members. As a WellCare by Allwell DSNP member, you have coverage from both Medicare and Medicaid. Medicaid services are funded in part by the state of New Mexico. New Mexico Medicaid benefits may be limited to payment of Medicare premiums for some members.
All right. Today we're joined by health coach and nutritionist Kelley Gilberry. Welcome to Tango Alpha Lima podcast. How you doing today, man?
Super good, man, but I'll get better. Appreciate you having me.
I like it. I like it.
Hey, Kelly.
How's it going?
Super. I see that you were Navy.
Yeah, Navy.
What'd you do in the Navy? What'd you do in the
Did,
Navy? What was your
did
job?
a few things in the Navy. First, I did 12 years total, but I started off as an operations specialist. Well, basically, I was a navigator. So I was on 3 different ships, did 4 world tours, and then my last 3 years, they sent me to be an instructor at the Naval Academy. So that was fun.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so after the 3 years, they was like, hey, Kelly, it's time for you to go back to the ocean. I was like, you know what? I think I'll pass on that. I appreciate the offer, though. So I passed on that. Going back to the
Yeah.
It's very kind of you to think of me.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because like during my research, of course, you're a nutritionist. And I was thinking about all of the things that I ate when I was in the military. And the military chow halls aren't really known for their quality cuisine, if you know what I mean.
The manicotti wasn't bad, though.
Well, no, I'm talking about like health food
Yeah.
options. Because even the salad bar, if I'm being really honest, was nothing but like iceberg lettuce and black olives. And then we would drench it with either Caesar dressing or ranch dressing. And if you've ever heard the Real Men of Genius, Budweiser's excellent advertising, if you guys ever get a chance, alphas, listen, go in and Google or YouTube Budweiser's Real Men of Jesus taco salad inventor guy. You'll know what it's all about. That pretty much sums up military cuisine.
What branch were you in?
But anyway, Kelly, talk to me a little bit about what branch was I in? I was Air Force.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And that's saying something. Like we had the good chow halls, so
Yeah.
it's all like downhill from there.
Yeah, Navy stuff is
So-
pretty terrible sometimes on the ocean. Yeah, sliders and the salad bar is pretty non-existent.
So what was your nutrition like and your health like and your health food journey? And talk to me a little bit about your weight gain and subsequent weight loss journey that led to this impressive 70-pound weight loss.
Prior to appreciate
You
that.
look great, man.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that. Prior to going nutritionist, I was I call myself as a grasshopper. So I believe there's 2 types of people in this world. I believe there's ants and then there's grasshoppers. See, what a grasshopper does is the person who hops around without a plan in the high grass in the summertime and just say, hey, the weather is beautiful. It's sunny outside. You should just eat whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, without a care in the world. So I did that for many years. I did that in my 20s, of course. You know, when you're in your 20s, I got out of the military when I was 30. So when you're in your 20s, you can like I said, you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. You know, go out and play some basketball with the fellas, some of your shipmates, and then, hey, you're still within Navy standards. But then I got out of the Navy when I was 30 years old. And when I got out of the Navy, I didn't have anybody, watching me and say, hey, Kelly, you got to keep your weight at a within certain standards. Hey, Kelly, you got to exercise here. Hey, Kelly, you got to do this. So therefore, I just kind of let the grasshopper mentality take over. Do whatever I want, whenever I want. And then it was a lot of fast food and takeout and junk food. And my favorite thing was a double cheeseburger with extra pickles and a small fry from McDonald's. That was my favorite. That was my jam. And then after the military, I went into the oil and gas industry. Did that for 10 years. So I was in field service. So if you're in field service, that means you're on the go a lot. You're just living out of a suitcase. So if you're living out of a suitcase, I mean, it's fast food here, takeout here, grab and go here. Sometimes they'll fly me offshore and I'm on an offshore rig and you just got to eat whatever they got out there. And it's just, you have no rhyme, no reason, any of that when it comes to nutrition. So as the years went by, that started to pile up. Before you know it, I was obese, I was pre-diabetic, and I got diagnosed with heart disease. This was by the time that I turned 40. So in my 30s, like I said, eat whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. And then my mother had just passed away prior to that from the same condition. So she passed away from a heart attack. And then my uncle, he passed away from cancer. Then I go to the doctor and I get diagnosed with all these chronic health conditions. Metabolic syndrome basically means that if you don't change right now, that death is knocking right around the corner. So that's kind of what prompted me after my mother passed. And she came to me in a dream and told me that I had the ability to be able to help other people heal. Now, keep in mind, I'm obese, I'm a pre-diabetic, and I have heart disease. Like, what do I know about healing anybody? So the more and more research I did, it just kept pointing back to the food. It's the food, it's the food. And then from there, I just went on the mission. Transform my own health, and then now my mission is to transform the health of everybody else on the planet, and especially people in the military. Like, whenever I go to the VA, it's an awful sight whenever I go to the VA, because I know what they're suffering from. Same conditions that I suffered from.
Well, Kelley, thanks for that. I think what I want to hone in a little bit is maybe talk a little bit about your mindset, being able to, first acknowledge the trajectory you were on, what you didn't like with your current state, and then you had to envision a future and start, stepping into that. And so I also think probably like your time as an operations specialist in the Navy, required precision, focus, and problem solving like any good navigator, right? So how do you see like those skills from your military time that did ultimately translate into your journey as a health coach, into motivational speaker on this healing journey that you went in? So did your military mindset give you an edge once you decided to take ownership and start tackling some of these health challenges?
It absolutely did. It taught me to focus on one thing. So focus means to follow one course until successful. So that is what the acronym FOCUS stands for. So when I was in the military, it's all about, hey, we got to get the job done or else people are going to die. It's a life and death situation. So when I was an instructor at the Naval Academy, this is how they taught us how to teach. They taught us how to take a very specific message and to distill it down into such a way that leaves little room for misinterpretation. So I did that same concept now in my own life. Like, I take out all of the fluff when it comes to health and nutrition and wellness. I'm like, we're going to get rid of all of the fluff and we're just going to get straight to it. So that's what I did with mine. That, again, I said there's two types of mindsets that I believe. It's the grasshopper, where you just hop around without a plan, without a care in the world until something breaks, or the ant mentality. The ant, meaning that ants never quit. This is what ants are known for. They're the most successful species on this planet. So they never quit, and they always plan ahead. So I know in the military, we got to plan ahead. So we're on a mission. If we're going from trying to get from Norfolk, Virginia to Canada, or not Canada, or let's just say if we're going from Spain back to Norfolk, Virginia, we had to set our course and we had to set our speed. So we know exactly how long it's going to take based on the course and based on the speed. So that's the exact same thing. That's the exact same mindset that I took when it came to my health and wellness journey. I know exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to reverse my chronic health conditions. I wanted to reverse my prediabetes. I wanted to reverse my heart disease. I wanted to reverse being obese. I wanted to be able to tie my shoe again, because I couldn't tie my shoe because my belly had gotten too big, Or I wanted to be able to go up a flight of stairs without being out of breath, especially in places like Colorado. So that's kind of the mindset that I took, that singular focus. So focus on one course until successful. So that's what the word focus means. So that's the mindset that I took.
I like that. I mean, and I think it's also, the kind of person I am, I have to do the same thing. I've got to do one thing at a time. And everybody I work with knows that don't send Joe 2 tasks. You can send him any one task, but don't ever send him 2 easy tasks even. And so, it's funny also because, you talk about you get out, our bodies are telling us we still need that 4,000 calories a day, but we're no longer burning 4,500 a day, doing whatever it is that we're doing throughout the day. And so, we're hard taught to ignore ourselves in favor of the us. And so by the time we realize that doesn't work when you're running solo, and course correction can be very tough to recognize that it even needs to happen, and even tougher to implement. Plus you've got that mindset of being like, especially as like a young guy in the military, like 10 pounds up, I can lose that in a week. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can literally buckle down and drop 10 pounds anytime I want to. And then, unfortunately it's 30 and then it's 40 and it just sneaks up on you. So by the time you get there, you realize I know how to course correct when I'm 10 pounds up and I got a PFD coming up. But when you have to change everything, it's tough. And people use the internet like a Bible. It's like everybody questions everything that you say to them, but they go on the internet and they see, I can take this and drink this and blow 400 calories out of my butt every night. And not to be sick or anything, but people will do anything other than just eat right and work out. And so how do we lead people to the right sources of information when there's so much junk on the internet and everybody's looking for shortcuts and they don't want to hear, when I was a Navy type, by the way. I was a corpsman with 2-1 Marines, man. So bless you, shipmate. But when I got out and I got hurt, I'm missing my left leg. I couldn't do all the things I knew to do to fix it. And I finally realized that food was it. Food was what I can go to the gym all day long and get strong. But if I really want to take care of my body and feel good, I got to eat right. And even as a bodybuilder, food for me was 80% of getting strong and losing weight. And how do we teach people? How do we filter out this credible advice from all these harmful trends that people, are in it? And look, I'm not trying to say that anybody who does any of this stuff is on a bad way. If you're 400 pounds, your goal is to drop that weight and get away from that before you have a heart attack. So I'm not going to say anything about somebody who does keto or Ozempic or whatever it is that puts them out of that zone where they're going to die. You do what you got to do to get out of that if you have to. But how do we filter out? How do we teach people to do right? What resources?
Yeah, it's difficult, man. That's one of the hardest things that I've come across is that people like you just said, man, they look for the easy way out. Here's what I learned. I learned that people, this thing called I started learning human psychology, and it's called the pleasure principle. Human beings want to do three, and it's from Sigmund Freud. You ever heard of Sigmund Freud? He has it's called the pleasure principle. And this is what people want to do. First of all, we want to seek the maximum amount of pleasure possible. We want to seek, it's hardwired into us to seek the maximum amount of pleasure. That's the first thing that we want to do. The second thing that we want to do, it's hardwired into us. We can't get away from it. Is to avoid pain. Any kind of pain that's involved, human beings want to have no part of it. Like you just said, there's so much stuff out there that's like, hey man, there's keto, there's all these different types of diets. There's high calorie, low calorie. There's so much different confusion. There's so much noise. You can talk to 10 different people about being what's the best way to fix your diabetes, and then you talk to 10 experts and you get 10 different answers. And you just get to the point where you're just like, man, I don't know what to do. First thing I would say is you have to get yourself a coach. Get yourself a coach and get away from all of the noise. Because like I said, the word focus means to focus on one course until successful. So if you got all these different things where you can just, hey, you tell somebody something and they'll go to the internet and they may look up this and they may say, well, Kelly said this, but now this is saying this. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, now the other doctor, my friend said that this worked for him and I should try this. And then until you just get to the point where you're just so confused, just like, man, I don't know what to do, right? And then what happens at that point? Now you go back to what you're used to. Now you go back to what's comfortable for you. Because like I said, we want to seek pleasure and we want to avoid pain. The third thing that human beings want to do is we want to seek the path of least resistance. This is hard. We want anything that causes least resistance is what we want to do. For example, if I told you that you could lose 100 pounds by watching your favorite Netflix shows while eating Ho-Ho Twinkies while drinking a big Coke on the couch every single day and you lose 100 pounds, or I'm going to take you out and do what David Goggins does. You probably know what David Goggins is. He's going to put you through the ringer, right? It's going to be some hardcore stuff. Like, it's not going to be easy. You're going to be hating your life. If I gave you those two options to be able to lose 100 pounds, the David Goggins way is going to be super, super hard, or eating Ho-Ho Twinkies on the couch. Which one do you think people would choose?
I mean, if we're being honest,
Twinkies.
Twinkies and
Give me
Netflix.
the Twinkies.
the little
Can't deal with
Christmas
you.
trees are out right now. You know, the little Debbie Christmas trees.
Oh man.
Um,
Or the cherry cordials with the clear liquid in the middle. The
Mm.
chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah, Twinkies and Netflix is what most people are going to do. You're going to get maybe a couple that say, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do it David Goggins way, but most people will say, if I can lose 100 pounds by just sitting on and binge watching, Game of Thrones, then that's what I'm going to do. Because we want to choose the path of least resistance. So seek pleasure, avoid pain, choose the path of least resistance. So that's what I say. You got to clean up the noise and just focus on one course until you're successful. Get yourself a coach. Follow what that coach says. If that person has already been there, done that, then yes, you follow what that person's saying. But if it's just a normal person, I'm not saying a normal person, let me take that back. If just someone who's just talking trash and they haven't really done what they say, they're just talking trash, then that's probably a person that you don't want to follow. You want to find somebody who's been there, done that, been through it, so you can follow that course, the same process that they've been on. Maybe some little tweaks here and there, maybe not exactly the same, but a blueprint for what you need to do. That's kind of what I would recommend.
And with the coach thing, they're basing that off of you specifically. My coach changed. I needed more carbs than most people, and less fat. It was just, they're a good coach. I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's worth any amount of money because you're going to be on this earth until you can't.
Absolutely.
I mean, what better way can you spend a little money than learning how to take better care of yourself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking
You're
of taking
absolutely
better
right.
care of
With
yourself.
carb tolerance, or some people can handle some people can handle, 100, 200, 700 grams of carbohydrates in a day. Their carb load is great.
Yeah.
And some other person, you give them 7 grams of carbohydrates and their blood sugar's through the roof, right? So it just totally depends on that person. So that's why you got to do tweaks. How my body responds to carbohydrates, like you were saying, Joe, it's a little bit different than how somebody else would respond to it. So it's just all about your carb tolerance and your carb load.
So you mentioned that with the VA, there are many American veterans who are suffering from like prediabetes or type 2 diabetes or heart disease. What's like some tips for the alphas who are listening who fall into that category that can start with one small thing? What's one small thing that they can do today that can maybe start the reversal process? I know, they're not under doctor's care, but maybe it's eliminating one thing from what they're doing bad habit wise, or maybe one good habit they can add.
I can give you my PACE formula, but you said one thing. So but when it comes to eating, the main contributor is ultra processed foods, or I call it Franken foods. So this is what we base most of our diet on. Most of our diet is based on, we talked about convenience. Most of our diet is based on ultra processed foods. So what does that mean? That means that it's not actually food. It looks like food, it tastes like food, it feels like food, but it's not actually food. So when you put that into your body, guess what's going to happen? So these are like I talked about earlier. We're talking about Ho-Ho Twinkies. We're talking about cookies, crackers, all of the ultra sweetened beverages is the main thing. The main thing that I want people to understand is the most important thing in your body is managing your insulin levels and managing your blood glucose levels. That is the most important thing that your body is trying to do. It's trying to maintain a constant temperature at 98.6 degrees, and it's also trying to maintain a constant blood sugar control. So if you're eating ultra-processed foods, that is going simplified carbohydrates or carbohydrates that are not real carbohydrates, ultra-processed carbohydrates, that is going to spike your blood sugar to the moon. So when we talk about diabetes, that's the main cause of diabetes. I don't even call it diabetes. I call it CCLS. What's CCLS? It's chronic carb load syndrome. That means that you've taken too many carbohydrates chronically and your body can't handle the load. So therefore, it's pushing back against you. They're saying, hey, I can't handle all these carbohydrates. So therefore, I'm going to send my insulin levels through the roof. When I send my insulin levels through the roof, that's a fat storage hormone. It's going to cause you to gain a lot of weight, and it's going to cause a whole bunch of other stuff in your body, insulin resistance. So the main thing that I see at the VA is A lot of people in wheelchairs, a lot of people, getting ready to get their foot chopped off or their foot's looking like kind of crazy and their legs are all swollen. Like this is not from their military service. They may have been in the military from, 1960, 1970, they were in the military for a couple of years. Now they're 60 something years old and their health has spiraled out of control. And it's not because of their military service. It's because, like what Joe just said, it is the food that has caused you to be this is what I had to learn. It was the food that caused me to be a pre-diabetic. It was the food that caused me to be obese. It was the food and my lifestyle that caused me to have heart disease. So the main thing that I would say is to cut out the ultra processed foods and limit it as much as you can, because this is going to cause you to want to eat more. The more of that stuff that you eat, the more that you're going to want to eat, because it stimulates your insulin levels, certain hormones that cause you to say, hey, give me some more of that sugar. Hey, give me some more of that, whatever it is. That's how the food's engineered. So yeah, I know it's delicious, it's great, but if you start there, cutting out the ultra processed foods and cutting out the sweetened beverages, sodas, even Gatorades, Powerades, things of that nature, that's going to have a huge impact on your health.
They've made it so hard on us, though, man.
So, Kelly, are you saying that I shouldn't eat everything that's advertised to me between every commercial break?
Why would they lie to us, Kelly?
Wait, Kelly, are you saying I shouldn't have any peanut M&Ms?
What is that?
No, not that.
No, that's, I went to New Mexico. And they sell the Breaking Bad. It's straight sugar.
Okay, because it looks kind of like...
Yeah, I know. That's why I held it up.
Yeah. So here's the thing about it.
Here's a guy who's never been drunk.
Here's the thing about that. I know
that should be the first.
Here's the thing about it. I know we laugh about it, but I know it's saying like telling people to cut that stuff out it's so hard. It's easy, but it's hard. It's hard because of the way that the food is engineered. It's got its hooks in you. Like the food is specifically, like, I'm not even joking. I study nutrition, so I understand that what happens in food science. There's food scientists in the lab right now as we're speaking, figuring out ways to override your satiety hormones. They're telling you that signal that says, hey, I'm full. They're in the lab like, okay, so you ever seen that Lay's commercial where it says, hey, I know we talked about advertising. Hey, you can't eat just one. I bet you can't eat just one. They know that. It's there. Like, we know that you can't eat just one because we designed the food that way. So I'm not telling you not to eat ultra processed foods. It's just I want you to limit it to about 10% of your diet. I know it's unrealistic to tell people to totally cut it out altogether because of it has its hooks in us.
I think I just want to call it that. I mean, you just dropped so much knowledge there, and like, yes, you're right. I mean, from the food scientist side of it, but then the joke was, about the advertising and the psychological side about it, and it's targeted, at our youth from such an early age, and so that it just becomes such a part of the culture and the norm and the holiday season, that it's so hard to break free from it. But okay, so I'm going to shift this question and be a little bit, playful in this next one. If you were in charge of Navy chow halls, mess halls, and you could create kind of like some considerations for a dream menu, talking about staying away from this ultra, process, what would be maybe some of the top dishes or things that you would include? Because, practically what are we talking about here? We're talking about transferring this knowledge to the 20-something-year-old. So we start, planting the seeds that, you don't have to go through the worst of what we went through to be able to come to these same conclusions, that you can start building this into your practice as a way of life. So if you were in charge of, Navy mess halls, what are some of the things you would be thinking about?
That's a good question. No one's ever asked me that before, but here's what I would say. The 3-course meals, that salad, when you go and you're like, hey, you want an appetizer to start you off with a salad? You always want to start with your veggies first. The reason that you want to start with your veggies first is because your stomach is like I want you to think of it like a funnel. So whenever you eat something, it's going to go, it doesn't get all mixed unless you just eat it all together. It mix up in the stomach. It's like once you eat it, like, hey, if you eat this and eat that, it's going to, it's just going to get all mixed up into your stomach. So I would always start with...
Yeah, I roll around on the floor for a minute.
What's that?
I just roll around on the floor for a minute, get good and mixed up. I'm just playing, man. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no worries, no worries. Yeah, I'd start them off with some salads first. Salads with vinegar in them. Then we'd have a bunch of vinaigrette dressings, and then I take away a lot of the, the ranches and the blue cheeses. I'm taking all of that out of there. Anything that has dairy in it, that's just
You'll start a fight.
yeah, it's gonna start a fight. That's just me. That's gonna be the dairy. I know folks love their dairy, but the dairy is a whole different subject that I can get into, but we don't have enough time for this episode. But yeah, so I would start them off with a salad, and then the next thing will be just whole foods. So I would take away the things that are known to be cancerous causing or carcinogenic. We're talking about processed meats. We're talking about salami. We're talking about sausages. We're talking about deli meat. We're talking about, pepperonis, things of that nature. These are all, there's been countless studies that said these things are carcinogenic. So I would take that away and I give them the whole meat. So if you want steak, if you want fish, if you want, chicken, we're going to give you that, but it's going to be in a whole form. We're not going to give you chicken nuggets. You're not going to have chicken nuggets at all. We're taking that off the menu. And then, so things that are that I know that are detrimental to their health. So I just go in and I clean it up a little bit. I wouldn't totally go in and revamp the whole thing. I would just go in and start making slight changes. Like, again, salads first, followed by whole foods, followed by taking away the ultra processed foods. So if we're going to do desserts, we're going to do whole desserts, whole plant food desserts. We're not going to be doing the fake desserts. So the fake desserts are going to, like I said, it's going to have people's blood sugar going crazy. The next thing you know, you're going to be talking to them in a few years later, and they'll be having diabetes, or they'll have heart disease, or they'll have they'll be at the VA, putting in their claim because they've got this condition, right? So that's kind of where I would start. Definitely going to get more plants. I'm a big plant-based advocate. So I would definitely have more plants into their diet, mostly plant.
It's funny. Out of everything that you said, and maybe it's just because I'm petty. When you tell me I'm being manipulated, boy, you light me right up. I don't know what it is when you tell me that they are orchestrating food in order to tell me I didn't drink or smoke in the military because somebody told me I was going to. And it sounds silly, but anytime that I can use that pettiness, and I don't do this with my friends or anything like that, I'm petty with me. So when I know that something can help me, if I just lock in on it like that, you telling me how much this processed food is being orchestrated and designed and manufactured in order to manipulate me is probably the most effective thing you've said to me right there. That as soon as you said that, I'm like, tell me more. That's you got me lit up with that, man.
Yeah, there's a book called The Dorito Effect. And the Dorito effect, it breaks down exactly how the processed food industry is targeting you, specifically like Adam said. I think it was Adam that said it about the kids. Starts at a young age. And it starts at a young age with, with the little fish, like, the little, cheddar fish or whatever they're called. I forget what they're called, but the little cheddar fish.
Goldfish.
Yeah, the goldfish.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, the little goldfish.
I've seen like some commercials on there, like who's the cheesiest and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, these things are like. So
you should do voiceover work for those things. You could do subliminal message. Don't eat us. Really, seriously, don't.
Yeah. So there's food scientists, like you said, Joe. There's food scientists in the lab right now that are, as we speak, that are specifically designing ways to try to override your satiety hormone. Like I said, there's a reason that Lay's has that commercial that says, I bet you can't eat just one, because they know that you can't eat just one because they designed it that way.
All right. So I did want to ask one more question, and it's just really about like probiotics and stuff. Are those things that you feel like, omega-3s and things like that, are those things that you feel like we can supplement in our diets as we're getting started, or is that something that you feel like we should be getting primarily through our foods?
So let's talk about probiotics and prebiotics. So they're very, very important. So here's how I like to describe that. So prebiotics, people are like, hey, what's prebiotics and probiotics? Prebiotics lay down the foundation. So what's the foundation? The foundation is things that have fiber in them. Everything that has fiber in it lays the foundation for your prebiotics. So these are prebiotics. So these are your fruits, your vegetables, nuts, your seeds, your whole grains. anything that has fiber in it lays down the foundation. It's kind of like the soil. You're laying down the soil. So a lot of people are like, hey, I'm gonna start taking some probiotics. Well, but if you just start taking probiotics and you don't have a good foundation of high fiber rich food, then you're just gonna take probiotics until you're blue in the face. All right. So probiotics are active live enzymes that go to work on your gut bugs or your gut microbiome. But without a good foundation, just taking probiotics by themselves is totally pointless. Right? You're just flushing money down the drain, as I talked about earlier with the pharma.
Yeah, because they're expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive. So they're very, very important. These are live enzymes. They're very, very important. So we're talking about things like, you can make this at the house. We're talking about like, kimchi and even like kombucha tea.
Yeah, I'm drinking kefir.
Kefir, yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are all
Kefir. Okay, see, I just read it. Never heard anybody say it.
Yeah. These are all probiotics. But again, probiotics are useless if you don't have a good foundation. If you don't have a good set of prebiotics before you go to the probiotics.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
100%.
Well, this is all really, really awesome and informative. Thank you for taking the time to get with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything that we didn't go over, that we didn't hit, that you wanted to share with the alphas listening that you thought would be important?
Yeah.
That we didn't hit?
Yeah. Let me just tell them that people who are struggling with their health, they're struggling with their chronic health conditions. These things are, most of these diseases, dis-ease is what your body's in that state of dis-ease. These things are most of them are totally reversible. 8 out of the top 10 diseases that I see most of the people struggling with at the VA are lifestyle related diseases. So a lot of people say, hey, give me a medication for this, or give me a medication for that, or give me a medication for this. Here's the thing about medication. I'm not against medication, but it should always be your lifestyle first and then your medication second. Because it's not the medication that got you being a pre-diabetic. Medication didn't cause you to have heart disease. Medication didn't cause you to have, a liver cancer. It wasn't the medication that caused that. It was one thing and one thing only. It was your lifestyle that caused that. So if it's your lifestyle that got you into it, the obvious choice would be, if it's my lifestyle that got me into it, shouldn't it be my lifestyle that can get me out of it? Because it's tit for tat. So that's the thing I would say to the alphas. Like what happened to me. When it comes to when I was a pre-diabetic, when I had heart disease, when I was obese, all the triple whammy, now I'm in the best shape of my life and I'm a guy over 40. It wasn't my lifestyle that caused me to have, metabolic syndrome. Oh, it was my lifestyle that caused me to have that. So I used my lifestyle to reverse all of the chronic health conditions without the use of any of the medications. So I didn't take any of the medications that the doctor prescribed me. And then for that whole year, I just literally just locked in and became focused. So if you're focused, you focus on one course until successful, you can reverse a lot of these chronic health conditions simply by your lifestyle. That the power's in your lifestyle. So it's lifestyle first, medication second. So that's what I want the alphas to know, that your health is in your own hands. Your faith, your health is in your own hands. Not the hands. I love the doctors. The doctors get in an acute situation, like, hey, if you get into a car wreck, such and such and such and such, okay, great. Go to the doctor, get the medication, listen to your doctor. But as the years go by, and if you're still taking medication from that same chronic condition that has been plaguing you for all these years and it's just continuing to get worse, then that means that it's not the medication, it's your lifestyle.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, alphas, we're going to have all of Kelly's social media handles in the show notes. And his website is kelleygilberry.com, which will also be in the show notes. So be sure to go check out the website. Can we find you anywhere else, Kelly?
Yeah,
are you out there on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. Got a YouTube channel called, The Diabetic Wizard, I think it is. I think I just changed the name. But you can find me anywhere. You just plug my name into Google, and you can find the book. The book's called Plant Save My Life. Plant Save My Life is just basically, I was going to take you from A to Z on everything that I did and everything that you can do to start totally transforming your health. Are you going to be 100% plants like me? No, I don't expect people to be 100% plants like me. But do I expect them to start adding more plants into their lifestyle and their more diet? Yeah, that's going to help them tremendously. Add more plants, take out the ultra-processed foods, you're going to start seeing some changes in your health.
Well, I love what you said there, Kelly, and it's everything you need to know to start transforming your health, and the ability to take ownership, not from a doctor, although they're important for all the reasons that we know, but that you have the power and you can take ownership. And if you're looking for somebody to help support you on that journey, I'm sure if you head over to kelleygilberry.com, he'd be happy to help support you in that journey. So thank you so much for visiting us today. Alpha, stick around for some Scuttlebutt after the break.
Appreciate it.
Hey, be willing to show up for a veteran. Be willing to trust your gut, follow your heart, and take a risk. Be willing to sit without saying a word, without checking the time. Be the one who's willing to ask, to guess wrong, to even offend another, to keep them safe, to remind them that they are valuable. If you know a veteran, be the one to reach out and make them a part of your life.
All right, Alphas, we hope that you had a fantastic break. And now it's time for some festive scuttlebutt.
Hey, all you Alphas out in Post Falls, Idaho area, you get ready to deck your halls. American Legion Post 143 spruced up living rooms and helped make the holidays merry and bright for those who have served their country by offering free trees to local area veterans and American Legion members in need. The Post Falls Press reported that a donation of Christmas trees has become an annual tradition at the Post thanks to partnerships with Post Falls Origil. This is the third year that Origil has donated at least 25 trees. Quote, "It's just adding to our list of services for veterans in the community," end quote, says Post 143 Adjutant Tim Shaw. We're consistently looking for different things that we can do, if it's small, big, or however impactful. They're also a big sponsor of our golf tournament every June and July. They have been incredible to work with. The American Legion is the country's largest veteran service organization, as you all know, Alphas, for military families, individuals, and communities, since that information since 1919. Also, you guys should be well aware of this. The Post Falls American Legion incorporated in 1984. They were named for Corporal Stephen H. Nip, U.S. Marines, who was killed in action February 8, 1969 in Vietnam. Nip was 20, was in 1966 a graduate of Post Falls High School. His namesake post currently has more than 700 members. As the largest post in Idaho, we feel the responsibility to dive into anything we can at every level we can to try and make a difference, Shaw said. Hey, if you're a veteran in need of a Christmas tree, you can call the Post. The Post number is 208-773-9054. That again, listen up, you guys, 208-773-9054. Or just Google that Post, or become a Post member. Check it out.
I just want to add, I love the start of this. I like aggressive positivity. Like, get ready to deck the halls. We're going to help you, or else.
Halls or else. Yeah. We're going to have that link in the show notes. If you want to be the lazy person, just go to the show notes and click a link.
All right. So for all you Alphas living in Iowa, Illinois, or Illinois, as it's known by locals, and Missouri, or Missouri, tri-state area, listen up. The Keokuk American Legion Post 41 will hold its 52nd annual Christmas dinner on Christmas Day. Yum. The dinner will either be delivered or carry out. The Legionnaires will be delivering meals starting at 11:30 a.m. and meals can be picked up at the Legion Hall at 727 Main Street from noon to 1. And so this year's meal is going to consist of turkey, mashed potatoes and gravy, peas, dressing, a roll, and cookies. There is no charge for the meal, and anyone can partake with no questions asked. And I think that's really sweet because it can be very difficult sometimes when you're struggling. I love people that make it very easy to get help and not make somebody have to fill out this big form and all that. And I love the no questions asked. I'm a big fan. Former post commander George Morgan said the Christmas dinner tradition in Keokuk, I'm guessing I'm saying that right.
I
Anyway,
think we're close. It sounds
yeah,
pretty close.
started 50 years ago. Quoted, a young couple stopped by the Legion Hall on Christmas Day and asked where they could buy a meal. In those days, all the restaurants were closed on Christmas Day, and a bunch of members got together and decided it would be a good idea to have meals ready for visitors to town, people with no place to go or those with no money, he said. It's grown to what it is today, and it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. Last year, the Legionnaires put out over 330 meals, and Morgan believes that it will be the same or more this year, partly because of the economy. I am both like very encouraged by that, but also afraid. You
Yeah.
know, it would be awful to be put in a position because things are tough right now. It would be awful to be put in a position where you couldn't help someone. And so if you want to know more about how, you know, what they're doing and how you can help and make sure that they're not asked to do more than what they can handle, funding for the event comes by donation. A corporate sponsor who wishes to remain anonymous is one of the big donors. The Salvation Army is donating a lot again this year. This is a quote, as is the Southeast Boat Club, Morgan said. The Midlake County Council of Churches have supported the dinner in the past and will do so again this year. Morgan said the Legion is extremely grateful for those sponsors as well as for the support of many individuals who donate to the event. People do need to register. It's very easy to do in order for the Legion to make sure adequate food is on hand. So you want to do this as early as possible so that they know what they're going to need in order to make sure that the demand is met. This is true for either meals to be delivered or for pickup. Starting December 1st, individuals should call the Legion after 3 p.m. at 319-524-7831. That number is 319-524-7831 to register. Morgan spoke for his fellow Legionnaires when he said, while we try to be very active in the community and support not just veterans issues, this is one of more significant community events for the year, and we're humbled and proud to do it. And I think that's pretty beautiful.
Nice.
But we'll have links for that in the show notes as well. What do you guys think?
Perfect.
Free food.
Setting the example.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for those of you who plan to spend your holiday season snuggled up on the couch with a cup of hot chocolate and binging some Netflix,
And maybe chilling.
we have a recommendation for your watch list. Among stories of World War II soldiers, Army chiefs, and valiant heroes who fought for their nation, and contributions of women who remained in the background often get lost. But director Tyler Perry brings one of those stories to light with the war drama, The 6-888.
Those women are the best. Just gotta say it.
The film recounts the real-life events of the 6-888th Central Post Directory Battalion of the U.S. Army, aka 6-888. It's the true story of the first and only women Army Air Corps unit of color who were stationed in Europe in 1945. Their mission was to sort through 3 years of mail backlog, tackling 17 million undelivered letters in an impossible time frame of 90 days. Major Charity Adams, played by Kerry Washington, led 855 women who worked day and night facing adversity such as segregated housing, lack of basic amenities, gender and racial discrimination, and the high emotional stakes that came with the job. But the 6-888 device
6-888, my friend.
devised an efficient system of handling the backlog and relentlessly served with the motto, no mail, low morale,
Yep.
accomplishing their mission in half the time they were allotted, while also creating a community of their own. The film debuted in select theaters earlier this month, but will be available on Netflix on December 20th. And we'll have the link to the trailer in our show notes. And it looks amazing.
I didn't even know
So
that
cool.
know that this movie was coming out, and I'm tickled pink because I actually met the real life 6-888 gals, a few of them, and photographed them for the Veterans Portrait Project. And these gals, man, I think they are the most unsung heroes in American history. And, our history books don't have enough room
Yeah.
to talk about all, military history icons. But there's so many people that should be in it that have made history, and especially Black women like these gals during World War II that were on the frickin' front lines making history. It's just, I'm glad this movie's going to come out. These women are going to get their moment.
Yeah.
And it's due. And I hope this actress Kerry Washington, who's amazing, that
Yeah,
plays
she's
Lady
great. She was in
Adams.
Django Unchained and a couple
Yeah,
other things.
she's great. Hopefully she knocks it out of the park. I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
Oscar worthy, I bet. That it brings
yeah.
the praise and accolades that these women also deserve. So wonderful.
That's awesome. I want to give a little shout out to Adam for his recent Covert Hero Award. Look at you, Adam. I was forced to say something nice about you. I'm deeply uncomfortable right now.
Oh, yeah, I was concocting, how might I
That's why it's called Covert
create
Hero.
an event where Joe would have to say something nice.
Yeah, you've spent years on this.
It's covert, so we really didn't have to say anything about it, Adam.
Yeah, I
You little
just,
underground hero. You look at you.
In all seriousness, so those are our coalition members, my good buddy Army Ranger, and the founder of Heroic Hearts Project. So I went out to LA to their Operation Freedom to Heal gala, and it's really like their first big gala they've done, and they've been an organization for 7 years. And he was the first veteran-focused organization to raise funds to get veterans access to psychedelic-assisted therapy to help them heal from the wounds of war. So a true pioneer. I know we talk about that a lot. So obviously we don't get into this work for the awards, but it was cool to go out there, be a part, support them. And then they gave me a little bit of recognition for supporting the mission. So thanks, Joe. Thanks, Stacey. It was really cool.
Stop smiling, Adam. Nobody needs your smiles and
You little rock star. Proud of you, man.
well deserved, my friend.
Thanks.
All right, Alphas. We hope that you have a very safe and happy holidays. We will be in our thoughts, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side of the stress of the holidays, but hopefully it's full of cheer.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe to our podcast, our newsletter, or send us some mail and guest recommendations at legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima. We'll see you maybe next week and the week after. Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas and all that.